The Cutting Crew, and I Just Died in Your Arms. It's just gone 2:15 on Oscar nomination day. Lots of a fair amount of British representation, I would say. I'm getting a nod of the head by my next guest. You're just about to meet him. His name is Winter Tyson, and he is a film critic from Winchester. Welcome along.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Is it like Christmas Eve for you today?
It is, because I mean, whether you like the Oscars, whether you love them or whether you hate them, you get to sort of either rejoice or sort of boil along, because, as you know, sort of a lot of sort of criticism is based on really being annoyed at what other people like as well. So
yeah.
there's a bit of both. But I mean, yeah, every time it's Oscar nomination, it's the big event. It's the 6,000 voters of the Academy. It's the one everyone watches. It's the one that's going to sell all the tickets, most importantly, sort of for the next sort of quarter of the year or so. And so it's the big event of the year, definitely.
So if a film wins an Oscar, and I know this might sound like a stupid question, but bear with me. If a film wins an Oscar in any category, does it go on to help more people go to the cinema, as well as it be, you know, more likely to be grabbed from a shelf in a DVD shop?
Oh, definitely, because what you'll find is a lot of these films, once they do, if they win an Oscar, they'll do a second round of the cinemas. There'll be sort of re-releases in certain towns. Some films that were on limited release might now get a wider release now they've got sort of the Oscar seal of approval, because if you're not interested in films, generally, you know the Oscars. It's a bit like the FA Cup. If you're not interested in football, you know who's in the FA Cup, and that's what the Oscars is.
So I've noticed that the films that people are talking about in terms of Oscar nominations, like King's Speech and Black Swan, 127 Days or 127 Days, or however you're meant to say it, they are on at the pictures at the moment. Is that coincidence?
Oh, not at all, not at all. Just like, you know, during the summer you go to the pictures and you'll see explosions, you'll see alien invasions, all the big blockbusters, all the sort of the dumb movies.
The kids' films.
And the kids' films, all your little 3D animations and such. The back end of the year is when they sort of stack up the Oscar contenders for, so it's fresh in everyone's mind. Everyone's just finished watching them on the big screen, so you'll see 127 Hours, The Black Swan, King's Speech are in the cinema at the moment. Stuff like The Fighter, True Grit are just about to come to the cinema as well.
So should we have a little listen to what's happened in Hollywood earlier on today? OK, that's Robert Palmer, blatantly, if you're any good at Guess the Intro. You're going to hear more of that. Winter, should we start? I don't think anyone noticed.
No,
should we have a little listen to what happened in Hollywood earlier on today?
Yes, let's.
For Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role, the nominees are Annette Bening in The Kids Are All Right, Nicole Kidman in Rabbit Hole, Jennifer Lawrence in Winter's Bone, Natalie Portman in The Black Swan, and Michelle Williams in Blue Valentine.
The nominees for Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role are Javier Bardem in Beautiful, Jeff Bridges in True Grit, Jesse Eisenberg in The Social Network, Colin Firth in The King's Speech, and James Franco in 127 Hours.
I think Colin Firth in The King's Speech, Winter, is what everybody was waiting to hear.
I think they were, especially around here, especially local boy done well, as they say. But I mean, Colin Firth, he's one of those sort of mainstays of acting. I mean, if you cast your mind back, I mean, to when I was about 3, he was in the excellent TV drama Tumbledown about the Falklands conflict. And since then, he's just turned in performance after performance that's utterly solid. I mean, even if you look at stuff like Nanny McPhee, in which he plays the father, he's fantastic. He's fantastic no matter what films. I mean, he, you know, something like Love Actually with a massive cast.
Pride and Prejudice. Oh, my goodness. I think I actually fell in love on the spot.
I think I fell in love with him, you know. I mean, he's a good-looking guy. He's a great actor. He's got the old-school British film star sort of gravitas that is kind of missing in Hollywood quite a lot nowadays. So I think Colin Firth is going to win the Oscar.
Wow.
I'll say that, because he's up against people like Jesse Eisenberg, who's in The Social Network, which is a great performance, but the character doesn't go anywhere within the film. Whereas in The King's Speech, you see Colin Firth take a character who at the start is a very small, quite insular character, and you really see that character come out, and everyone remembers performances based on sort of the journey of that character. So I think Colin Firth's got it in the bag this year. I can't see anyone else really going for that. I mean, Robert Duvall in Get Low is quite good. James Franco is very good in 127 Hours. But in my mind, that's more of a director's film. That's more Danny Boyle's show than James Franco. And Jeff Bridges in True Grit, again, one of those films that's just about to come out over here. reportedly very good, but he's won previously, and he's won over Colin Firth last time around as well for A Single Man.
I'm sure that I remember Colin Firth just being pipped at the post and thinking everybody thought it was a big travesty at the time.
Oh, definitely. I mean, A Single Man was a pitch-perfect performance, but I've got to say, A Single Man was Tom Ford, the director's film. And so, again, there was no massive journey for that character. And again, Colin Firth, he's one of those actors who you don't catch him acting. It's not like Pacino whooping and hollering around the screen and sort of chewing up the scenery. But I think he's a steady, solid actor, and I think this year he's got a higher profile because of A Single Man, and I think this is going to be his year, definitely.
Can I just say, if Al Pacino were to walk through that door, I would point at you and said, he just said that, not me. Let's have a little bit of music, more from Winter Tyson, our film critic from Winchester, after this. Robert Palmer and Johnny and Mary, it's 2:25. You're listening to Katie on BBC Radio Solent. The Oscar nominations have been announced. So if you're really into your films, a date for your diary is the 27th of February. That's when all those Hollywood actresses will be in gorgeous dresses. The 28th of February, then, is the day to make sure you buy the papers. If, like me, what you like about the Oscars is having a look in the papers at what everybody decided to wear to the big party. Winter Tyson is here. He's a film critic from Winchester. We've talked about the King's Speech and about Colin Firth's nomination, Winter. Is it going to be one of those years where one film sweeps the board? Because I noticed that Helena Bonham Carter is also nominated as Best Supporting Actress for The King's Speech as well.
Yeah, and you've got Tom Hooper is nominated for Best Director as well as Geoffrey Rush for Best Supporting Actor, and also for Best Screenplay they've got a nomination. And I think it could well be one of those years like, ages ago, and Silence of the Lambs just won everything it could. I think The King's Speech is such a solid film, and it takes the viewer on a really nice emotional journey. Some of the other films are very good. The Social Network is a brilliant film, technically very astute. The script is fantastic, written by Alan Sorkin, who of course wrote The West Wing. However, it doesn't take you on a journey. It shows you a situation and you think, that's interesting. I'd like to see a documentary about that. I'd like to maybe read the book it was based on. Whereas The King's Speech, there are tales of people clapping in the cinema, which you just don't see over here. I know it's a very American thing to do. However, in Britain, you don't really see people cheering in the cinema. Plus, it's packing them in, absolutely. Especially, over here, the marker, perhaps, of how popular these things are is that the afternoon showings are selling out as well, which, for a film aimed at a particular age group, I don't think it's a young person's film specifically, but I think The King's Speech has got everything that Oscar likes. It's got the outsider triumphing over adversity. It's got personal growth. It's got these great performances. And every actor in The King's Speech is perfectly placed in there. I think it will win everything. However, I think a dark horse this year could be Winter's Bone, which has been nominated in a couple of categories, including Best Film, Best Adapted Screenplay, also Best Actress for Jennifer Lawrence. Now, it's sort of a rural-based noir murder mystery film. It's just a solid bit of entertainment, and I think it's one of those little outsider films that the nominations are going to sell the DVDs. They're going to push the DVDs, and because not many people saw it at the cinema, it wasn't heavily advertised. But I think if there is a dark horse, if there's going to be a surprise, I'd say it would be Winter's Bone sweeping it.
How about Black Swan?
Black Swan, I think a very good film, very interesting. It's 90 minutes of just insanity in some ways. It's not quite a ballet film. It's a horror film. It's a thriller. It's a psychological thriller. It's a really interesting film. And there's a lot of kind of what you call body horror in there. It gets quite grisly at points.
Wow.
Is she mad? Is she sane? Etc. It's a real old-fashioned kind of almost Grand Guignol kind of film. But I don't think the Academy members are going to go for it. I think it's a bit too avant-garde.
Right. So just a little bit too outside of what they normally tend to go for.
Oh, definitely. A little bit too far.
Are they looking for something that does entertain everyone then? Is that one of the main things they're looking for?
I think one of the things with the Oscars awards is they tend to go to films that are worthy.
Right.
Or films that they feel deserve it due to sort of the work of the participants. So your worthy films might include, Driving Miss Daisy won it, which is not a great film, but was seen at the time to be a very worthy, very sort of socially liberal film that people could invest in. And I think The King's Speech, it really straddles that divide between an intelligent film, and it's a really good dissection of the British monarchy in much the same way as The Queen was a couple of years ago, and the idea of how media sort of has crept into sort of all our old institutions again, just like The Queen a couple of years ago. But I think it's also a very worthwhile film, and although it's about the royals, it's told from sort of an outsider perspective. So I think sort of an American audience will really go for that, and sort of the American voters, I think, will get behind The King's Speech.
I'm going to have to go and see it, aren't I?
Definitely.
I'm going to have to put aside my Victor Meldrew-esque tendencies about going to the cinema, and I'm just going to have to go and see it. It's great to meet you, Winter. Thank you so much for being part of it today. Winter Tyson, then, film critic from Winchester, giving you the lowdown on the Oscar nominations announced this lunchtime.